Welcome to What Is. Today we're going to discuss something that sounds like the plot of a low-budget 1950s horror movie, but it's actually a very real, very bizarre neurological condition. Now picture this. You're sitting down in a nice restaurant. You've ordered the steak. You pick up your fork with your right hand, ready to take a bite. But then, your left hand, without your permission, reaches out and grabs your water glass and pours it directly onto your lap. You're shocked. You didn't do that. Or rather, your hand did, but you didn't tell it to. In fact, you tried to stop it, but your left hand fought you off like a grumpy toddler refusing to go to bed. This isn't a ghost story, and you haven't been possessed by a mischievous spirit. You're experiencing alien hand syndrome. Or if you want to sound fancy at parties, anarchic hand. Before we dive into the glitchy wiring of the human brain, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an episode of What Is. Now let's get into the strange, frustrating, and occasionally hilarious world of the hand with a mind of its own. Alien hand syndrome, or AHS, is a rare neurological disorder where one of a person's hands functions involuntarily. The person isn't just experiencing a twitch or a spasm. We're talking about complex, goal-orientated movements. The hand might button a shirt, choose a different channel on the remote, or might even engage in a physical struggle with the good hand. To people living with it, it feels as though the hand has its own personality, its own desires, and a very different agenda for the day. The first official case was recorded in 1908 by a German neuropsychiatrist named Kurt Goldstein. He described a female patient who suffered a stroke. A few days later, she reported that her left hand felt like it didn't belong to her. It would grab things she didn't want, and she actually had to use her right hand to physically restrain it. At the time, people didn't really know what to make of it. Some thought she was hysterical. Others thought it was some kind of strange stroke-induced madness. But as medicine advanced, we realized this wasn't a psychological problem. It was a hardware problem. To understand how the hand can go rogue, we have to look at the ultimate processor, the brain. The brain is divided into two hemispheres, the left and the right. In a healthy brain, these two halves are constantly talking to each other. They're like a married couple trying to decide what to have for dinner. They negotiate, they compromise, and eventually a decision is made. The primary bridge for this communication is a thick bundle of nerve fibers called the corpus callosum. Think of it as a high-speed fiber optic cable connecting two massive servers. In many cases of alien hand syndrome, this cable is damaged. This can happen due to stroke, a tumor, an aneurysm, or even surgery. Back in the mid-20th century, doctors discovered they could treat severe epilepsy by cutting the corpus callosum. This split brain surgery prevented seizures from spreading across the whole brain. It worked for the epilepsy, but it created some very weird side effects. With the bridge gone, the two halves of the brain were suddenly living in separate apartments. They could no longer coordinate. In these cases, the alien hand is usually the non-dominant one. The left hand for right-handed people, the right hand for left-handed people. If the right hemisphere decides it wants a cookie, it just sends a signal to the left hand to grab one. The left hemisphere, where the language and conscious will usually reside, might be saying, no, we're on a diet, but it has no way to tell the right hemisphere to stop. The result, you're standing in the kitchen, your left hand is shoving a double chocolate chip cookie into your mouth, while your right hand is desperately trying to slap it away. It's the ultimate internal conflict played out in real time. Now there are actually three different flavors of alien hand syndrome, and they depend on which part of the brain is acting up. First, there's the Callosal type. This is what happens when the bridge that we've been talking about is damaged. The person experiences a conflict between their two hands. This is where we see intermanual conflict. One hand puts on a shoe, the other hand takes it off. One hand zips up a jacket, the other hand unzips it. It's like being a referee in a wrestling match where you are both of the wrestlers. Then there's the frontal type. This happens when the frontal lobe is damaged. This version is more about grasping. The hand will reflexively grab onto nearby objects and refuse to let go. If a person with frontal AHS walks past a door handle, their hand might grab it. They don't want to open the door, but the hand has seen a handle, and the hand has a very simple philosophy. If I see it, I grab it. They often have to pry their own fingers off objects. Lastly, there's the posterior type. This usually is caused by damage to the parental lobe. This version is a bit more alien than the others. The hand might drift away into strange positions. The person might feel like the hand doesn't belong to their body at all. It might even show avoidance behaviors. If you try and touch the hand, it might shrink away like a shy animal. But why does this happen? Why doesn't the hand just sit still? The leading theory involves something called the supplementary motor area, or SMA. This is part of the brain responsible for planning movements. Normally, your SMA plans a move and your primary motor cortex executes it. But there's also an inhibitory system, a stop signal, that prevents you from reacting to every single thing you see. When you have alien hand syndrome, that stop signal is broken. Your hand sees a shiny spoon and thinks, "Ooh, a spoon, I should pick that up." In a normal brain, the rest of the brain says, "No, that's not our spoon." In an AHS brain, the hand just goes for it. The most famous cultural reference for this condition is, of course, the 1964 film Dr. Strangelove. In the movie, Peter Sellers plays a character whose right hand constantly tries to give the Nazi salute or give him a chokehold, and he has to beat it back down. While the movie is a dark comedy, the reality for patients is a mixture of frustration and, yes, some dark humor. Take the case of Karen. She was a woman who had a corpus callosum severed to treat epilepsy. She reported that while she was trying to fold clothes, her socialist left hand would keep throwing the folded clothes back into the laundry pile. Imagine trying to live your life while a roommate who hates you is physically attached to your shoulder. That's AHS. There are stories of people waking up in the middle of the night because their own hand is trying to strangle them. It's not that the hand is evil. It's the part of the brain controlling it is acting on primitive impulses without the adult part of the brain supervising it. During sleep, your brain's inhibitors are at their lowest, which can lead to some truly terrifying alien behavior. Because alien hand syndrome is so rare, there isn't a standard cure in the way you take an aspirin for a headache. Treatment is usually about management and tricking the brain. Physical therapy is a common approach. Some patients find success with visual feedback therapy, or simply giving the alien hand something to do. If the hand is busy holding a stress ball or a cane, it's less likely to reach out and smack a stranger, or unbutton the person's shirt in the middle of the grocery store. Some people even punish the hand, not in a mean way, but giving it a light slap or speaking to it sharply. "No, down." It sounds ridiculous, but because the hand is being controlled by a separate part of the brain, vocalizing the command can sometimes help the good side regain control. Other treatments include using oven mitts or bulky gloves to make the hand less effective at being a nuisance. If you can't stop the hand from grabbing things, you can at least make it impossible for it to get a grip. In more severe cases, Botox injections can be used to temporarily weaken the muscles in the hand, making its attacks less forceful. Now you might be wondering, does this mean we have two souls? Two versions of us living in one skull? This is where alien hand syndrome moves from medicine into philosophy. For decades, neuroscientists like Roger Sperry, who won a Nobel Prize for his split brain research, argued that when you split the brain, you essentially create two separate consciousnesses. If the left brain can talk and the right brain can't, but the right brain can still act, choose colors, and express preferences through the hand, who is the real you? AHS patients often refer to the hand as it or him or that thing. They disassociate from it because they have no conscious will over its actions. This challenges our entire concept of free will. If your hand can decide to grab a cookie without you wanting to, how much of your other behavior is truly yours? Are we just a collection of various brain modules that usually agree, and we only notice the seams when something breaks? Most of the time, our brains are excellent at creating a unified story. Even when we do things impulsively, our language centers are quick to make up an excuse. Oh, I grabbed that cookie because I needed sugar. We will tell ourselves. But AHS peels back the curtain and shows that the executive in charge of the company doesn't always know what the guys in the warehouse are doing. The good news is that for many people, especially those who develop AHS after a stroke or a brain injury, the symptoms can fade over time. The brain is remarkably plastic. It can find new ways to communicate, or the damaged areas can heal. The alien eventually moves out, and the hand becomes part of the family again. However, for those with degenerative conditions like cordiobasal degeneration, the syndrome can become a permanent and progressive challenge. In these cases, the focus is on safety and maintaining a sense of humor. Because if you can't laugh at your own hand trying to steal your neighbor's breadstick, what can you do? So what have we learned? We've learned that the brain is a delicate balance of crosstalk and cooperation. We've learned that your hand is perfectly capable of operating without your permission if the right wires are cut. And importantly, we've learned that Dr. Strangelove was a lot more scientifically accurate than we might have thought. Alien hand syndrome is the haunting reminder of how much of our self is dependent on the physical integrity of a few pounds of grey matter inside our skulls. It teaches us about the map of the brain, the importance of the corpus callosum, and the strange independent impulses that live just beneath the surface of our consciousness. The next time your hand falls asleep and it feels like a dead weight, be thankful. At least it's just sitting there. It could be worse. It could be trying to change the channel while you're in the middle of a movie. That's it for this deep dive into alien hand syndrome. If you found this fascinating, or if you've ever had a rogue hand moment of your own, let us know in the comments below. We love hearing your stories, even the weird ones, especially the weird ones. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow and helps us keep making these deep dives into the what and the how of our world. Don't forget to share this video with your friends, especially that one friend who's always a little bit clumsy. Now they have an excuse. Thanks for watching What Is. Stay curious, keep asking questions, and keep an eye on those hands of yours. You never know what they might be planning. See you in the next one.